Hello. If you are watching on Facebook, Instagram, we even got TikTok today. It's wild things going on. Okay, it's only 7 a.m, but we totally got this. So, obviously, we are here with Nikita, our next tribute for these coaching calls. I'm so excited. And I have no idea what we're talking about, but Nikita's. How long have you been a distributor for anyone listening?
September will be 4 years.
Why does that make me emotional?
That makes me emotional thinking about it.
Yeah. So Nikita and I have been together for almost 4 years now. So I feel like this will be good. This will be fine. We got this. I'm nervous for some reason. What are we talking about, Nikita? What questions you got for me?
Okay. So, I guess my, excuse me, that's 8 a.m. boys over here. My biggest thing is transitioning back into full-time from having a baby.
Oh, okay. Well, I love that talk.
Because I did let things really slow down after I had Scarlett, knowing she was going to be our last baby.
Mm-hmm.
And just really soaked up in those first 6 months, really enjoyed it, loved it, all the things. And now I'm ready just to dive back in, do all the things, well, almost like a rebrand on myself and my group, to really bring me into it, because that's what's been lacking the past 3.5 years. So, and don't I know
You've done great. You've made really good progress though. You've made so much progress. You're at least trying new things, and you're at least putting yourself out there. Okay, couple questions. One, how old are all of the children?
Bobby is 6, Grayson is 3, and Scarlett is 9 months.
Okay, 6, 3, and 9 months. And so the 3 and the 9 months are both home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then but you work too, right? Don't you have a job still? Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, I work. Well, okay, so I'm home full time.
Right.
But I work 2 jobs online from home. So I'm a virtual assistant, and I work for a doctor's office a few hours a week.
How do those hours work? All of those hours?
So I do 12 hours a week, or every 2 weeks, for the doctor's office. So I just plug those in while I'm cooking dinner. And then
what do you do for a doctor's office that you can do while you cook dinner?
I just import taxes. I do some prior auths for medications, and stuff like that. So it's nothing that I got to be on the phone for.
Okay.
So I do that while I cook dinner. And then my virtual assistant job, I just work as work comes in. So if something's needed of me, I do it. But I also really try to focus any of my major virtual assistant job at night when the kids are down for the night, and before I go to bed. So it's not interfering with my kids or this. So
okay, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is kind of the hardest thing is, I mean, you've heard me say this so many times, there's freedom in having a schedule, but having a schedule is also hard with children. But for example, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. My journey with being a work from home mom has not been as easy as I've made it look. So I might have made it look like it's just been, oh my gosh, the best thing ever. Oh my gosh, all of my dreams come true. It at some times has been, I've just been it would be so much easier to just have a normal job. It is so much easier to just say this time is for my kids and this time is for work, and they can't even see me while I'm at work. It is working from home I don't think it's easy. You know what I mean? And especially when you're already balancing 2 other jobs, I'm never going to tell you that it's going to be simple. But before I really kind of jump into my thoughts, I'm curious, because we haven't talked about this in a long time. What are your goals in your business? Let's say in the next 6 months.
6 months. I want to grow my group.
Okay.
I want a full schedule.
What does that mean to you?
2 parties a week.
Okay.
And then I want to get back to significant son of seller. Like that would be my bottom goal.
Okay. So I love that because that simplifies everything. Like if we just even if you just focused on I want to do 2 parties a week, like I think we get too caught up in all all the things, even though I literally have it on shirts. And you are one of my biggest like almost cheerleaders when it comes to all the things. Let's do all the things. Like you're so much like me in that we want to do all the things because we want all the things, but the best way sometimes to get all the things is to just focus on one thing and get that, and then you can build off of that. And so, for example, 2 parties a week, especially when you're coming off of like a slower season, 2 parties a week is a great goal. Like even if you just focused on that, because that is going to get you more people in your group, that is going to get you sales, that is going to get you everything that you need. And it's something that is so easy, not easy, I'll never use the word easy, I hate that word. Simple, let's use the word simple, to actually turn into a routine. So for example, if you said, okay, my goal right now is to just do 2 parties a week. That's it. As long as I do 2 parties a week, no matter what else happens, I'm going to be proud of myself that I hit my goal. You know what I mean? So doing 2 parties a week as a mom of 3 little children, when I was building my business, I literally had like, I mean, I'm still building my business, but I had like a whole system down where every single day was the same thing. So it was Sundays, I would create the Facebook group and I wouldn't schedule all the posts yet. Sunday, I would create the Facebook group. I'd get all of the albums done. I would get, now I would make like a pretty cover photo with my hostess's face on it, all the things. And then I would get the prep post done. Monday morning, and this is just how I did it. Monday morning, I would message my hostess with all the hostess scripts, and I would invite her into the group, and I would make sure that she started inviting everyone. As long as she started inviting everyone, then on Monday, I would schedule the rest of the posts for the week. And the reason I did that is because how many hostesses ghost us? Like tons of hostesses ghost us. And I learned very quickly that if I schedule all the posts ahead of time, I'm going to be mad when the hostess ghosts. And so, because I would have wasted my time that I could have spent with my kids, you know what I mean? And so I had a very specific, like Sunday, I would set up the group. Monday morning, I would coach my hostess, and that's because I was going to work. So like I would coach my hostess before I went to work. And then when I'd get home, actually, no, it was not, this is very specific, but like, I want you to understand at lunch, I would check. And even if she had only added a few people, I would go live on my lunch break. And then, Monday night, once everyone had been added, because my goal for her, is this too much information? Am I being annoying right now? Like, this is so much information. My goal for her was to get everyone invited by the time I was home from work, so that when I got home from work, I could do like the big welcome video that I would do on Wednesdays. And then Thursday or Tuesday, oh my gosh, big welcome video that I would do on Monday. And then Tuesday morning, I would apply my lip sense live before I went to work. And then I would have posts go off during the day. Wednesday morning, I would do, I think I did like a blend video. And then Thursday was the party video. And I did 2 parties a week. And what I would do is I would stack the party videos. So one would be like at 6 and one would be at 6:30. So I would make sure that my video was only 20 minutes. And I would do like half of my face on one and the other half on the other. You know how sometimes we just do half a face? They wouldn't even know that I had 2 parties going on. And so anyway, so I tell you all of that because you can create something similar that brings a lot of momentum in your business and a lot of action in your business in super small pockets of time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could get a group set up in 20 minutes and then I'd go live for 20 minutes, or I'd host this coach for 5 minutes. And it's like all of this was being done in tiny pockets of time. And that's honestly when we grew the fastest. When we were doing the 2 parts a week was when we were growing super fast. You know what I mean? So I would think about your schedule that your kids currently have, and also talking to your husband about that. Because that's another thing when you're trying to create a schedule that makes sense. With kids, you also want it to work with your spouse. You know what I mean? And so you want to make sure that it like makes sense for everyone. And that communication, I think, would also help, because Thursday night, I didn't even have an office back then, if you remember. Like I literally was doing it in our navy, we had like a navy blue TV room that I eventually turned into an office, and I was doing the live videos on my floor, that I would shut the door to that office for like 45 minutes. And so I would go in Thursday evenings and I would do both of those videos. And then, yeah, and then whatever, you know, I also had a specific schedule for when I did like my commenting on their posts, when I did because my parties were a whole week, which I don't think you do a week-long party anymore, but that's what I did. So you're like, no. And so, but then Sundays is when I would send all of the final messages. So I'm like setting up the groups for the next week and then closing the parties from the week before. So anyway, so all of that is like, I tell you all of that because again, you can fit all of that into a very small pockets of time, and you can make it work for you and your family. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So something like that. And then what else was I going to say? When it comes to your customer group, your group will naturally grow if you're doing 2 parties a week. I think that's obvious. So your group will naturally grow, your sales will naturally grow. But when it comes to your group and like the potential for rebranding, or even like, it doesn't have to be, I don't know if you noticed, I posted in my group that I want to change the name of my group, but like in my mind, I'm not thinking about it as rebranding, because rebranding feels heavy. That feels like it's a whole thing. You know what I mean? Like rebranding is a whole thing. And so for me, I'm trying to just be like, I'm just changing the name of my group. Like, it's fine. I'm just going to change the name of my group. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying, because my brain will freak out if I think, oh my gosh, I'm rebranding. It feels very heavy. And so instead of, I mean, you can rebrand. We've done this before. But like, what shifts, I'm going to use the word shifts. What shifts do you want to make in your customer group? Like, what do you think is missing?
Me. So I know, and that's like such a broad term, but the things that I love, haven't necessarily been there the past, almost 4 years. So like my true crime, my crafts, my love for cooking, like all of that has been absent from what I do. So I'm slowly throwing that in there. So like tonight I'm thinking I'm going to do True Crime Tuesday. I'm going to go live, do my Summer Vibes look while telling a true crime story. And then just slowly like implement things like that, but sharing more of like the crafts, because you've seen it. I make freaking everything. And then food, I don't know how I'm going to tie that in yet, but I don't want to be like overly, here's all of this on me. So I'm starting with like the true crime, which is like my biggest thing. Like I wanted to major in criminal justice and everything when I was younger. I didn't, but I wanted to. But so now I'm just slowly bringing that in. And like I'm going to launch makeup and murder boxes. And those are very themed. They are literally going to include clues that have to do with like one of those hunt a killer boxes. And then we'll jump on Zoom sometime that month and try to solve it together.
It's so fun.
So, and then there's like 3 categories. You could be like the bold and the beautiful, you can be neutral Nancy, or you can be pink something. And that'll depend on the colors that come in your box. So I've been thinking about this for a long time. So I'm going to launch those probably next week to prep for June. But they're going to come with clues for Hunt a Killer, and then we can jump on a Zoom or even do a live in the group and solve the case together. So
hold on 1 second, let me pause.
Yeah.
How many people? We don't have a ton of people watching, because I was going to say, like, who here likes true crime stuff? If you like true crime stuff, just say yes in the comments. Or if you're watching on Facebook, we might have people watching on our team. I'm curious who's interested in true crime stuff. And the reason that I asked is because when Nikita and when we first started talking about you potentially, you were like, well, the stuff I'm interested in is weird. And I was like, what are you interested in? And you were like, well, I love like the murder mystery stuff. And I was like, There's literally 5 people watching. I'm not even kidding, and 2 people have already said yes. Like it's such a thing, you know what I mean? And so I just want you to know, like, it's like I think you're less scared than you were before when we first started talking about this. But I'm like, there are a ton of people who are into this stuff. So a couple of suggestions, and this kind of ties into what we talked about a few days ago. So I know that you're doing your summer look live tonight. I don't think I knew that you were doing the true crime with it. Did you post about that?
I haven't posted about it yet. I'm going to make that post in a few minutes, but I said it on my Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday Night Live. Okay. I said that we'll be doing a true crime thing. So I haven't posted that I'm going to go live on that yet. I will be in a little bit. I do have content running in my group, so I just got to squeeze it in the times. So.
Okay, so here's the thing. Not that I'm trying to, you know me, I'm always like, well, you don't have to do this, but I think that if you were like right now, if you were to, I think you already have an event. So like, don't make a new event, but like next week, let's say next week. So you could almost hype it up a little bit. I don't know anything about true crime, so it could be totally wrong. But I feel like if someone was to be like, I want to listen to a true crime podcast, like they're going to go to their favorite podcast, whatever, and they're going to look at the descriptions, right? So you could literally say like, tonight we're going to be discussing blah, 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 blah. And kind of like a podcast has a description. You could give them a description of like which crime you're going to discuss. I don't know if that makes sense, but like to me that makes sense. If I like, even as someone who's not into that stuff, if you were like, we're going to discuss the disappearance of blah 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 blah, and like I would be like, what, you're gonna do what? Like that sounds kind of cool. Like while you do your makeup, we're gonna like talk about this, you know what I mean? And so kind of like hyping it up just a little bit more. And I only say that because I kind of wonder if you're doing something that I do without realizing it. And what I do is, even when I have a really good idea, I don't talk about it a lot because I'm afraid it's not going to work. And so because I'm afraid it's not going to work, I don't want to put my all into it, because if I put my all into it and then no one shows up, then I feel like it's like a total flop. Versus if no one shows up, but I didn't talk about it, it's like, well, they didn't even really know. They didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I mean? And so I would love to see you like really step into it, like be more excited, be more, give more hype around it. And it doesn't have to be for this one. But the reason I say all of that is because another thought that I have in my mind is for you to kind of intentionally seek out that type of audience. So you know that I grow my group. I tend to grow my network through like these hobby groups, right? So I grow my group because I meet homeschool moms, and because I meet honestly, network marketers. Like those are the people that I connect with. And so I connect with those people. So I don't know if true crime groups are a thing, but in these true crime groups, meeting people and then like talking to them and saying, I don't know if you know, like once you actually talk to them, say, I actually do these like makeup and murder mystery videos every Tuesday, if you're interested. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'm interested. And you're like, yeah, I do it in a private group. And I'm the type of person where I would be like, yeah, I do it in a private group because like, I don't know if that would be weird to do on my personal page. So here's the group if you want to join. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so what happens is you're intentionally growing your group in a way that also feeds into this new style that you're wanting to lean into. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so it's all, that would be very intentional, but that's kind of how I could see that going. So I say, like, I'm trying to make my brain make sense on this. Basically, you think of the audience that you want to have, and then you start delivering the content that they would be interested in before you have the audience.
Yep.
I think a lot of people want the audience first before they give the content. You know what I mean? And this way, once you're talking to them, it's like, oh yeah, I'm already doing that. It's like, it doesn't look like you're doing it for them. It looks like it's something you're already doing. And then they just get to be a part of it. Does that make sense? I don't know if
Yep.
that makes sense. It reminds me of like my first line call. Like I started my first line call before I was growing my first line because I knew that I wanted to grow my first line. And so then by the time my first line was growing, it was like, oh yeah, our first line calls on Thursday. They don't
Yep.
know that I intentionally started it about 4 weeks before I started recruiting, so that when they joined, it was like, oh yeah, we have a first line call like every single Thursday. And it's like, yeah, it's only our fourth one, but it was on purpose to get us ready for the growth. And so you're basically preparing ahead of time for the growth that you want instead of growing first. I think a lot of people try, and I don't think you're doing this, but again, we're streaming for everybody. I think a lot of people try to grow first before they have the content ready, and it because it saves time, but it doesn't connect as well. So anyway, so I'd be very excited to see all of that happen, and then your whole group can be a bunch of like weirdos, as you would like.
Hi.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I freaking love it. Like I said, Josh listens to that stuff all the time. He's probably listened to every single one that you could talk about. I literally know nothing about any of them. I'm like, I don't need that stuff. I will have nightmares. I will think that I'm going to get kidnapped the next time I go to Puerto Vallarta or whatever. Like, like I'm going to disappear the next time I go on a retreat.
No, listen, when I drove down to Tulsa, I listened to my podcast on the way down there.
When you drove
I used to listen to it every morning on my way to work is when I used to listen to them. So I had like this huge log of ones that I hadn't listened to yet. So I was like, yes, I got a 17-hour drive by myself. I could not sleep at a rest stop. When I was tired, I had to pull over into like a busy gas station / like strip mall that was busy at 5 a.m., take a quick nap, and then get back on the road because I couldn't do it. I was like, no, this is how people die.
Yeah, it is. But that's what I think too. I mean, literally, I know this is like side note, but everyone buys campers and goes and sleeps at like like they travel and then they sleep at the places where campers go. My brain is not functioning. It's 7:30 in the morning, but I always see all the campers lined up next to each other. And I'm like, I love the idea of traveling in a camper. And also I have way too high of a fear of dying.
Yep.
Like couldn't do it. And I know that sounds ridiculous because like so many of my friends have campers and they love the camper life. And I'm like, you could not pay me to like go to a lake and park a camper. Like they're gonna find me in the lake. You know what I mean? Like it's an irrational fear. Okay. Well, I don't know if any of this was helpful. But the party schedule, figuring out your party schedule. I know you already you have all of your mocks created. I would guarantee that because you are you. So you have all of your mocks ready. It's just about finding a system that works for you and works for your family. But I'm going to go off on a tangent just in case we happen to have 50 people listening in BTB. I want them to understand. There's probably like 2. But I want them to understand, like, people think that parties are like the hardest thing that we do, when really, truly, it is the simplest system that we have. It is the simplest system. It can be done in minutes a day. Like that is something that you could be doing this casually. People could, not that I would ever want anyone to do this, but you could be here for like super casually and not even have a customer group and still build a business with just parties. Like it is literally the simplest thing that we can do. So anyway, so parties is a great thing. I love the idea of, what did you call it? Tuesdays? True Crime
Tuesdays.
I love that. I want to see that take off and be a thing. And here's another thing that I challenge you to do. This is for you specifically. I want you to do it. I want you to do it for at least 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I love you, but one of the things I do see.
I know.
I'm like, you get excited and then it's like you'll do it like one time, but I really think it's that fear. I don't think it's a lack of wanting to do it. I literally don't think it's a lack of time. I think you do it once and you get scared and you are actually self-sabotaging. And so I want to see you push through that, like you can feel it in your stomach where you're like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. Like once you learn to push through that feeling, that is where you will thrive, because then the next time you get that feeling, you'll be like, well, I know what it feels like to push through this. Right now, I don't know if you're getting that feeling of pushing through it, because you're feeling that feeling and you're pulling back. And so I would like, it doesn't have to be today through the next 6 weeks, but whenever you start it, I mean, I would really like it to be today through the next 6 weeks.
Well, it would be today through the next 6 weeks.
I want to see you I will literally like set an alarm in my phone to make sure that you are doing True Crime Tuesday every Tuesday for the next 6 weeks. Even if no one shows up tonight and no one shows up next week and no one shows up the week after, which I think they will because your group is great. But like, even if it's not, like, I want you to push through and do at least 6 weeks of it, because by the time you get to the end of 6 weeks, you will know if you want to actually keep doing it, not because of fear, but because you've done it for 6 weeks and you either have passion about it or you don't. And if you know, like, okay, I just did it this week and now I have to do it next week, even though I don't really want to, I have to because I told Morgan I would, then it's going to make you actually want to go find that true crime audience. Does that make sense? So if you know you're going to do it for 6 straight weeks, you're going to want to find that audience. So it'll take it to the next level because of that commitment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I've
Okay.
already got three cases planned. So I have 3 of 6.
Okay. 6. I want to see.
Yes, I gotta come up with the other 3 now.
You got it. Anything else? Do you have more? Do you have any questions?
No.
Or this topic?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we can wrap this up for now, because I mean, you can literally message me in 30 seconds.
Yep.
So we can always talk about anything else that you have questions about, but super excited for True Crime Tuesdays. Another thing is, obviously getting the parties booked. We didn't even talk about that. So if
Yep.
you do have questions about getting parties booked, just message me, and of course I can help with that. But try to get that ball rolling. And one other thing, hold on. I want to also, when I say that I did 2 parties a week every single week, I did, and I pushed through literally 99% of the time. But something that you could also do that I eventually found good consistency in was 2 parties a week for 3 weeks, and then 1 week was a big sale in my group. And I would do that because running a big sale, like, I mean, you know what I mean? There's a difference between just running content and running a big sale. And so running a big sale would take a lot of effort. And so I would do 3 weeks on and 1 week off. And what I found was the people from the parties would buy during the sale. So that's why I always tell you guys, like, I wasn't worried about people buying during the parties because I knew they'd buy from my group. And so I would kind of do this intentional thing where it's like I'd add people, sale. Add people, sale. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's, if you're like, oh my gosh, 8 parties in a month, that's crazy. 6, I don't know. There's something about it that feels more manageable. And then you just have to do like a big sale, and you can pick whatever week. It could even be a different week each month, but obviously if you do it with your front load, it makes sense. But I wanted to throw that out there since I didn't touch on that. So anyway, I will let you go. You're awesome. Let me know if you need me. Bye.
Bye.